How lucky am I? I get to sit here and talk to Justine Luchini from thirdzy, my new favorite product in the world, because I'm all about efficiency. And I hate how many supplements I have to take. And I wish they could condense them all into one. Like, I wish I woke up in the morning and I drank everything and it was done and I didn't have to eat the rest of the day. And you've kind of done that with a couple of things that I take with thirdzy, which when I go to sleep at night, I need my collagen for my beautiful skin, and I need my magnesium because I'm a wreck. I don't think people realize like how stressed you get and how important magnesium is. I feel like it's the most overlooked supplement in the world. Am I right?
You're absolutely right. Like it's one of those that if I had to just pick three, it would absolutely be on there because it's a real multifunctional. Like that thing you said about efficiency is like exactly it. There's almost 300 different purposes for magnesium in your body. And when you sweat, when you're stressed, when you sleep, all these things use magnesium to like make the right chemicals and get your body to do what it needs to do. So totally, magnesium is absolutely like a key ingredient that a lot of people aren't getting enough of because it's also hard to get in adequate amounts in the stuff that we eat.
Well, I know everybody's thinking right now, what are the other two? You
The
said there
other
are
two,
three. Yeah.
yeah, so like a fish oil, like an EPA, DHA,
Mm-hmm.
and vitamin D, right? I think
Yeah.
that one's
Yeah.
really come on everyone's radar with COVID and like how important it is for immunity, but also it plays a lot of other critical roles in the body too.
It's unbelievable how important, and you hit the nail on the head. I've had a couple nutritionists for the last like 5 years hammering me about magnesium, saying we don't get enough of it anymore, that it's not in the soil, and that there's all kinds of problems. Like, people think like you can get a blood test and it'll say you have sufficient amounts of magnesium, but that's not intercellular, and so it's kind of a false you're getting you're not really getting the truth about the reality of your magnesium levels. And just
Right.
because a doctor goes, oh yeah, your magnesium levels are sufficient, it's not talking about what's in your cells at the time. And I believe that's like blood level or something. There's something about that you might know better than I do.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a super nerd on this kind of stuff. And blood levels is really interesting because it's the easiest way to check for something, right? Because it can just like pull it out of you and
Yeah.
test the levels of everything. But things that are in your blood are stuff that's moving around. So it's usually stuff that you either like recently consumed or for one reason or another, your body needs to move it from one place to another. But when it's actually being used or it's in storage, it's in your cells and that isn't tested on during blood tests. So there are lots of things that you can't test for adequate levels in your blood because you don't have it in your blood for most of the time because your cells are using it.
Well, I was just telling my wife last night because we had a pretty not stressful day, but we have 2 kids and 3 dogs and a million moving parts between the two of us, like most families do. And like she and I at like 9:30 sat down to finally like watch TV, and my whole body was like pulsating. And I'm like, "Your nerves ever get like this?" She goes, "Yeah, all the time." And she was like, "Do you want to go make us some thirdzy?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I do." Because it's like that nervousness. It's obviously like that your nerves are just kind of um, you're fried, and it's time to
Yeah.
calm yourself down and get into like recovery. And it's hard to just settle down.
That's exactly it. Like literally, as you're saying that, I was thinking in my head, I'm like, that is why we made this product. I mean, when I was looking around a few years ago and having that exact same feeling where we use stuff all day to get our energy levels up, to get our nerves kind of pumping at that level, right? Whether it's pre-workout before your workouts or coffee in the morning, and then you're just like, go, go, go. And you get to the end of the day and you're like, where's the off switch on this thing? Right? Like
Yeah,
what are
yeah.
my options to do to like turn it down now that I've spent all day turning it up? And so yeah, that's like literally exactly why the product exists.
It's funny you say that. In the old days, I would just turn it down by just drinking a ton of alcohol. and now, and now I try to be healthy, And when you try to be healthy about it, your body doesn't just shut down. Your body's like, oh my God. It's like you got like a chihuahua running around in your body just going, I'm ready to bark. I'm ready to go. And I can't calm down. And
Yeah.
I really need something like this, or I will literally like lie in bed and stare at the ceiling, especially if I've got like you're cranked up, you're wired. I get off stage sometimes and come home, and there's no way of like just dialing it down. And then I've
Mm-hmm.
got to be up early in the morning, and it's like, how am I
Mm-hmm.
going to get to sleep so I get adequate rest and adequate sleep? But I know your product has a whole bunch of other products in it that help with sleep. What are they? Because I'm
So
not really good with like GABA and the other ones.
sure. So you touched on the collagen. So that's kind of like the base foundation of it for your beautiful face, but also for helping with like joints, connective tissue, muscles. And then there's magnesium, which we've talked about, which is that like multifunctional powerhouse that also plays into helping everything to calm down. It's like kind of the balance to a lot of your excitatory minerals like calcium. And then in addition to that, there's L-theanine, which is an extract from green tea that helps your brain to kind of stop those ruminating thoughts. It's more of like that Zen kind of chemical. And they even put it sometimes in energy drinks because it helps to balance out the jitters that you get when you're overstimulated.
I
And
love that you
then,
just said that. I love that L-theanine. Is that what it is? Is that how I
yeah,
say it?
yeah,
I
that's how
love
you
that
say
you
it.
said those ruminating thoughts. Those ruminating thoughts, I need to quell those.
Yeah,
I am afraid of my ruminating thoughts. I was just having
totally
this
get
conversation with a friend. I always said, you ever lie in bed and just like the thought? I said, we were talking about how our kids, it's chaos. And I said, it's pure chaos with the kids running around. And I go, but it's good because it distracts you from those thoughts. And he's like, yeah. And now I'm going to call them the ruminating thoughts.
it. The
I
dreaded
love that.
rumination.
But
Yeah.
that's great that there's a product that'll add. So what is L-theanine? Is that an amino acid? What is it?
It is. It's an amino acid, but it's not a protein building amino acid. So most people have heard
Okay.
of like BCAAs, right? And those are
Okay.
all ones that help to build protein. Whereas L-theanine doesn't contribute to protein building, but it works along different pathways.
Okay. So is it an essential amino acid?
It's essential in that your body does not make it. So yes.
Okay. Okay. Um, and then GABA. How does GABA work?
So GABA is a neurotransmitter, which is just a fancy word that means that it's a chemical that works in your brain to help make certain things happen. And it is your primary inhibitory neurotransmitter, which means that it like pumps the brakes. Almost all of your other neurotransmitters are excitatory, so like
Mm.
dopamine and acetylcholine. Those are ones that like help you to be more alert, more focused, and you need GABA to balance those things out. Otherwise, your brain becomes a runaway train, and you have problems with ruminating thoughts and you
Dun dun dun. Ruminating thoughts.
yeah. It's also the thing that is responsible for helping with like the switch from being awake to being asleep. So if you don't have enough or your body's not sensitive enough to GABA, you're not going to be able to do that transition to actually turning off.
Okay, so I am not a fan of melatonin.
Mm-hmm.
You don't use any melatonin in your product, do you?
Not in the PM recovery collagen, no. That was
Yeah.
also very intentional because it's not something that you want to take every day. Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like the only time I would ever consider it is like if I get jet lag really badly. But I just saw something that said to fix jet lag, if you go outside and watch the sunrise and the sunset, your body will reset its circadian rhythm just like that. It's like
Yeah,
that's all you need.
totally.
So that's my new goal when I go overseas.
So it's an interesting thing because the actual sunlight is the thing that like trains your circadian rhythm, and it does it through the same pathway that melatonin works on. So you have parts of your brain that then communicate with all of your cells around timing, whether it's the morning, whether it's the nighttime. And the thing that sets those triggers in terms of knowing what time it is light. And it's actually certain wavelengths that you're not even actually able to see, but your brain has receptors for, that is like, okay, this is the morning. And then when the sun's going down, it's like, okay, this is the nighttime. So that is a more powerful way to actually train your system to be on the right timing than just taking external melatonin.
My dogs are so much smarter than us. I watch my dogs. As soon as the sun comes up, they get up. As soon as the sun goes down, they lie down. They're like, all right, time to sleep. I'll see you when it's light out again. And I'm like, geez, I wish I could
Totally.
do that.
Yeah, but they're not doing all the in between stuff to mess themselves up, right? Like all the stimulants, all the
No,
blue
no.
light, all the screen time.
No, my
No.
my one dog did eat 6 donuts the other day though, so she was stimulated. Yeah, after a birthday party, my wife brought home like all the stuff, and it was sitting on the counter, and the dog climbed up on the counter and ate 6 donuts.
Oh my gosh. They
Yeah,
have
it was
no like ability to
no,
stop themselves when they go on stuff, hey? It's
no.
nuts.
Yeah, it was fun cleaning up the next day. Uh,